Welcome to day 7 of the 21-day public speaking challenge. Today's focus is on diving into your yoga sequence. Experience it first and then making insightful observations. Now, that we have learned so far. Day number 1, the purpose of your presentation. Day number 2, understand your audience, understand your students. Number 3, gathering inspirations for your yoga speech. Number 4, crafting your yoga speech. Choose duration, theme, level, style. And then number 5, crafting your foundational class, your basic, your essential, your class that you always come back to. And then number 6, craft your speech. Today, I encourage you to keep a notepad next to your yoga mat and take detailed notes as you progress through actually practicing your yoga sequence. Pay attention to the nuances of each pose and jot down observation to enhance and refine your practice. As you refine your approach, consider the different needs, desires, and problems of your students. How do you consider desire, needs, and problems of your student? Yesterday, we considered the following key elements when you build your yoga class: the props for misalignment, injuries, and body limitation, contraindications and cautions, techniques and cues. Secondary cues like the mudras, the bandhas, and the chakras. Secondary cues like the breath. Secondary cues like drishti or antara drishti. Secondary cues like dharma talk. And last but not least, the benefits of each asanas. Today, you want to observe and take note of each asanas by creating a table wherein the first row you write a segment of the class, for example, your warm up, your middle 2, your middle 1, your cool down, which segment of the class you are exploring first. And then you want to move into the asana, so which asana you pick for the warm up. When you've done that on the first row, you're moving into the second row, which is the prop usage. Third, alignment, misalignment, adjustment, and correction. Fourth, contraindications and caution. Fifth, techniques and cues. And then we're moving on to secondary cues, mudras, bandhas, and chakras. Secondary cues, the breath. Secondary cues, the drishti and the antara drishti. And then the dharma talk and the benefits. Let's go step by step. So when you've picked your asanas, when you've picked the segment you want to start with, you're moving into the prop usage, right? So let's explore step by step. So prop usage, props to help, consider that props to help your misalignments, injuries, and body limitation. If you don't have any of those, consider some of the possible and potential body limitations. It could be tight hips, or it could be a shoulders impingement, or it could be, I don't know, tunnel carpal syndrome. So you have to consider all the possible body limitation, and you want to offer props for those limitations. You want to explore how those props can enhance the practice, but also can create a safe environment for all your students. Example here. For example, using a block under the lower hand in the triangle pose for balance and a deeper stretch without compromising the alignment. So you want to offer a block underneath of the lower hand for beginners, for example. Anyway, moving on to the second row, which is alignments, misalignments, adjustments, and corrections. You want to observe and address any misalignments in your practice, understanding the impact of the subtle adjustments. Address common misalignments, address injuries and body limitations here as well. You want to have a full spectrum, you want to have a full understanding of how to honor each and every one of your students. For example, You want to correcting a tendency to lean forward in warrior 2 by grounding the back foot and engaging the core for improved alignment. You want to give that alignment to your students if you see that they lean forward to the bended leg. And then moving on to another example, notice how you shrug your shoulders in cobra pose. Instead, draw your shoulder blades down and together and keep your neck neutral and to prevent strain. So that could be an example. Contraindications and cautions. You want to consider the different needs of your future students and offer alternatives to ensure a safe practice. Also, you want to ensure students are aware of potential challenges, so you want to offer the correct modification. Example, emphasize caution in a gentle back bend for students with lower back issues, suggesting modification to avoid strain. And then we're moving on to techniques and cues. You want to be very spot on in this part of your preparation. You want to explore effective techniques and cues that facilitate proper alignment and deepen the connection to each pose. Reinforce the use of prop if needed as support tool for optimal practice. Example here, in that one facing dog, focus on spraying the fingers wide for better weight distributions and monitoring a straight spine for your mindful stretch. You want to, for example, ask them to bend their knees, or if you have a beginner class, you want to ask them to use a block underneath of the heels. So you want to really like go beyond any possible need of your student in this part of creating your class. And then we're moving on to secondary cues. Mudras, bandhas, and chakras. You want to explore the subtle dimension of the mudras, the bandhas, and the chakra. Notice how those elements deepen the practice and connection. Few examples here. The first example, for example, in Tadasana, mountain pose, try incorporating Jana Mudra, which is a thumb and index finger touching together to enhance the concentration of your students. Or, for example, during the boat pose, engage your core to deepen the pose and activate Uddiyana Bandha, abdominal lock. And then you want to, at last, visualize and activating your Manipura chakra, solar plexus, in your warrior 2 to cultivate inner strength. Those are, of course, examples. You can go as much as creative as you like. There are no restrictions here. It's your class and you can be your unique self. Right. So secondary cues, the breath. Notice the importance of the breath in each pose. Discover how you can synchronize the breath and the movement. For example, inhale deeply as you lift your arm in Urdhva Hastasana and exhale slowly, fold into your standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Use breath to guide transitions, first within your practice and then to your students. But as soon as you have that in your second nature, you can guide others as well. That's why it's important to practice. And that's why it's also important to note down everything you discover in your practice. And then we're moving in on secondary cues, drishti and antara drishti. Yesterday we explored the difference, and today we want to explore the significance of drishti and antara drishti in maintaining focus and balance. So, for example, in Vrikshasana tree pose, fix your gaze on a point just few feet away from your mat, for example, to maintain your balance. You can say something like that to your student. You can write down anything that you discover while you holding the tree pose, and while what's the best way to maintain your balance when you are in tree pose. And then in meditation seated pose, you want to practice antara drishti, for example, by focusing on the space between your eyebrow to deepen your inner focus. Moving on to Secondary cue, your Dharma talk. It's very important to use Dharma talk as a secondary cue when people are already aligned and people are already guided to all the secondary cues. But you can also pick your secondary cues. You don't have to go through all the secondary cues that we explored today. You can pick some of them and what resonate the most when you guide student into the asanas. So for example, a Dharma talk, it's very important when you hold a space for advanced practitioners. They might not need a spot on alignments, but they might need philosophical inspiration, philosophical knowledge. So you want to incorporate more a Dharma talk when you guide advanced practitioners. Try to incorporate Dharma talk, sharing insight and wisdom relevant to the class theme. For example, discuss how being present on the mat can translate to mindfulness in daily life. Relate this to the practice by encouraging students to stay present and aware of the breath and body throughout the session. And of course, this example I think is very specific for intermediate. You always, or intermediate, like a mixed class, where you have a variety of people showing up for your class and you want to always have a theme or a Dharma talk that resonate with most of the people. So breath and mindfulness is a great Dharma talk for your sequence. If you don't have any inspirations, any creativity that day, just make it simple. Make it to mindfulness and breath awareness. And then the benefits, recognize and highlighting the physical, mental, and emotional benefits of each asanas and how they contribute to the holistic and enriching the yoga experience. Example, extend your time in child pose to foster a sense of relaxation. Notice how much tension you can release in the lower back while holding the pose, while holding the child pose. All right, guys, we are concluding the class for today. By immersing yourself in your yoga sequence and taking detailed note, you not only refine your practice, but also gain valuable insights into your yoga teaching and understand the impact of adjustment, props, uses, benefit, Dharma talk, and all that jazz. When you experience that first, you can guide people afterward. In this class, you want to tailor your speech to ensure a safe, enriching, transformative, nourishing yoga experience for your students, but also for yourself. Tomorrow, we will explore how to deliver your speech. You will find all the current and the following day slides in Femarian's Seller account. All the details are down below in the description of this video. Stay dramatically different. Ciao for now.